Is the mic on? Good, thank you. Okay. So imagine a customer walking into the store, a woman in her 40s on a weekend. The journey very often starts online. Maybe she browsed some products, she's seen ads on social media, and maybe she even left something in a basket that she never completed. I don't know if you do that, but I do that a lot. And it ends up that I never buy anything because I might find something more later on. But by the time this woman in her 40s enters the stores, the journey for brands and the customer experience has already started. But the thing is that she hasn't made any decisions yet. Because a lot of the decisions that we make still happens in front of the shelf in a physical store with competing brands, products, prices, promotions, and habits, all fighting for attention. And that moment is very often underestimated. But it's a moment of decision, and it's also a moment that can be measured. And measurability is one of the key points when we say in-store retail media done right. And today, we don't want to talk about retail media as a trend. We want to talk about it as a business. Because for retailers, it's all about the possibility to add margin by selling space to advertisers of assets that you have in your stores. Because you have the assets, you have the stores, you have the traffic, you have the data, you have the customers, you have the suppliers, you have all the relationships. And for advertisers, it's about reaching customer close to the purchase decision, where there is real intent. And the thing here is that a lot of people think that the opportunity is so obvious. We should do retail media. But it's not that easy, because retail media is still too fragmented. Because advertisers, they want simplicity, they want reach, they want transparency, they want to see proof of they want to see the results. And retailers, they still build retail media networks in silos. And they build it with their own sales model and their own way of reporting. But that doesn't really work. And we have both advertisers and retailers in this room today. And I would really, really encourage you after this session to talk to each other and just ask, how are you working with retail media today? Because it's very, very interesting to listen to. So you can just do it outside afterwards. And there are so many routes to go here. And we bring value because Visual Art knows the ecosystem. And today, we help a lot of retailers navigate the ecosystem. We help them structure their in-store environments to media assets. And we help advertisers reach customers close to the purchase decision, close where there is real intent. And by having a large nationwide retail media networks and media sales partners, we also bring advertiser demand directly into retailers' environment in a structured, measurable, and scalable way. That is what we do. So what we will talk about today is 3 things. We will talk about why in-store retail media matters. We will talk about how to build it as a business, because this is a new business. And we will talk about, this clicker is so slow, and how to prove that it works. And first, we're going to introduce ourselves. We haven't missed that one. And I will start by introducing Andreas Lind. So Andreas, he's our Chief Commercial Officer. He's leading our retail media venture, and he sits in the center of this space being shaped. So he is part of IAB's retail media task force, defining what retail media is from an advertiser perspective. But he also contributes to Swedish Trade Association's work, bringing in the retailer's point of view. And what makes him valuable to listen to is that he operates on both sides of the market, understanding the value for both the retailer and the advertiser at the same time. And if you haven't met him before, you will also see that his level of energy comes with should come with a Red Bull sponsorship, because it's high. So that's also.
Thank you, Monica. And hi, guys. Happy Wednesday. And I have the great pleasure to introduce our superstar Pontus Meyer here, who is also our group CEO. And what I really appreciate with Pontus is that he's really passionate about bringing technology and creativity together and generate true business value. And he's also really eager to always be a good sparring partner for me and for the organization. And that helped us to really shape the future of digital communication. So thank you for that, Pontus.
Wow, thank you. Good to see you all. Are you awake? Did you have a good night yesterday? I truly had a few drinks as well. I'm happy to have some water here on the table. Anyway, I'm super excited to be here talking with you about retail media. But I need to say I'm actually just a substitute, stand-in, or maybe just a second choice, because the person who should have been here today is our country manager for Germany, Maike Fröhlich. And why I'm saying this is that I guess many of you in here are from Germany, and you should know that we have a German team, great team, and we have an office here in Hamburg led by Maike Fröhlich. So if you want to come in contact with us afterwards, reach out to any one of us or to our colleagues here in Germany if you want to have a future cooperation or so. So, but let's also introduce Monica, that already started this session. So Monica, she's our rock star marketeer. She's a Chief Marketing Officer of the Vertiseit Group, which includes the brands of Visual Art, Grassfish and Dice. She's been in the Visual Art team for 7 years. Before that, she worked at Unibail Rodamco Westfield, turning their shopping centers into media channels. She also has a background in psychology, which makes it really interesting, and she brings a practical perspective on how to turn customer journeys, first-party data, retail into measurable business value. So
Yes.
let's hear more from Monica, I would say.
That's me, and that's us. So now you know that. Let's continue with the things that you are more interested of. But you always need to do that in the presentation, because we've learned that otherwise you will just think, who are they? So, yeah. Okay, why does retail media really matter? Well, let's start with the business reason. Because for retailers, this is 100% a margin story. Retail is under pressure. Costs are high, competition is intense, growth is hard, customer expectations are high, and many retailers today, they want to find and add a new revenue stream without damaging price perception, customer loyalty, or the experience. That is very important. Because in-store retail media is powerful, because the assets, as we said, they are already there. The stores are there, the traffic are there, everything is already there. But the question is that value, have you structured that value yet? Because if it is structured, it becomes inventory. If it's packaged, you can sell it. And if it's measured, it also becomes trusted, and that is how you get the money. If it's also connected to this broader retail media network that I talked about before, it's scalable. And the value for the advertisers, I would say that it's equally clear. Because it's all about reaching customers close to the purchase decisions, when they are browsing, deciding, choosing, when there is close to intent. And this makes it so important for both the endemic brands who want to convert demand in store, but it is as important for non-endemic brands who want to reach their target audiences in relevant contexts and secure retail environments. An endemic brand is brands that exist in the store. It can be an FMCG brand within a grocery store, and non-endemic brands are the ones that is not in the store. So it can be Coca-Cola, for example, at a gym chain. That is the difference between endemic and non-endemic brands. And when these networks are built as these big ones nationwide, it also becomes a more efficient market for everyone. Then it becomes a win-win situation. So what does visual art actually do? Well, we don't start with a screen. We don't start with the software. We start with a business value. The value is not the screen. The value is the tension around the screen, the customer flow, the context, and then whether if this context is structured or not, that is what the advertiser can buy and the retailers can trust in the end. Because you need to structure it. Otherwise you will not be able to sell it. Because then the other ones don't know what they are buying or what they can expect from it. And this is also how you sell retail media internally. You don't start with the screens. You start with the business value. You start by saying, hey you, I know how we can get a high margin money into our business. That's the business value. So you don't say, I know we can sell ads in our store. You start by saying, and we can ask the question, are we really capturing the attention that we have? Because that's media value. Can we make money from that? A few years ago, everyone was Googling retail media. It was the hype, it was the trend, it was the thing that everyone was talking about. But what we've seen now is something interesting has happened, because we have moved on to the next hype. I don't know if you've heard about it, but have you heard about AI? Yeah. AI, agentic commerce, that's the new thing. And when we have this new hype, that is probably the best thing that could have happened to retail media. Because that means that retail media has moved from hype to execution. Because when something is in hype mode and everyone talks about it, it's not so concrete. And now we can see that the conversation is so much more practical. Does it work? Can we build it? Can we sell it? Can we measure it? Can we make money from it? So retail media is no longer a theory. It's becoming a new business. And our experience is the mistake that many retailers do is that they treat retail media as a side project. And that will never work. That is one of the biggest mistakes that can be done. Because it's very, very difficult to build media businesses with side projects. Okay, Andreas, what is retail media? Do you want a clicker?
Oh, thanks. All right, guys.
Slow.
Are you hangover or are you okay? Good. Let's start by asking, I can't barely see you, but how many here work with retail media on a daily basis? Hands up. That's Friday Q, and how many from a retailer perspective?
Yeah, one.
And brands perspective? Do we have any tech? One tech. Interesting. Okay, but then you know quite a lot. But let's bring it down to just simplest way. Retail media is basically an advertising network. But thank you. An advertising network where you actually consist. There you go. On-site, off-site, and in-store. And on-site being the retailer's e-commerce, their e-store, their app and web page, where you can use retail media to get impact on display, search, or banners. While off-site, you use the retailer's data to get new audiences outside their stores. It could be on social media, it could be in news outlets, it could be on other publishers. So there you can attract new audiences and have call to action back to your store, digital or physical. And of course, in-store is the retailer's own physical environment where you can use digital screens, you can use point of sales material, audio, and you can have promotion tables, etc., etc., etc. And all of this is highly valuable, but it's not retail media alone. To get retail media, or the strategic part that retail media brings, you need to get the first-party data. And that's crucial, because that's where the real value is. When you use your first-party data, you can then add real attention. You can add the intent. You can add, as Monica talked about before, what actually it needs for a brand to influence the people at the moment of decision. And this is actually a rhetorical question, what is data? And I was supposed to ask you what you think data is. And if I were to ask 10 people here in this room, I will get 10 different answers. And that is a really important thing to realize, because that's one of the first and the most important part of the job by starting with retail media, is to have and understand and what are we as a retailer, what is data for us? What is important for us to measure, to understand, to get extra value to our suppliers and the brands? Because all you retailers have data. You have the traffic, you might have the loyalty program, you might have point of sales information. So you need to talk eternally, because if you are a marketing division, then you see data from one perspective. If you're working with sales or trade marketing, then you see it from another perspective. If you are in store management or top management, you have yet another perspective. So align what is data for you, because otherwise it's going to be super hard to succeed with your retail media business. Works fine. There you go. So, to be super concrete, first-party data is the information the retailer has around the shopping intent. It doesn't need to be more advanced than that. So, you know where your customers are, what they buy, what they intend to buy next, how often they visit your stores. If they visit your physical store or your digital store, all that information you have is valuable first-party data. You just need to structure it and package it, and then you get a premium CPM or premium price on your inventory.
Good. Okay. I guess you also heard it, but some skeptical people say retail media is nothing new. And they are true. Advertisers has always paid for visibility in retail. But the business model is changing, and it's now driven by data. So now it's becoming more targetable, it's measurable, and it's part of the full omnichannel customer journey. So what we see, as I said before, is retailers becoming media businesses. So yes, retail media is not new, they are 100% correct, but it's completely different. So why do you think this is so important right now? Because retail, it's a tough business. And that is why this has become so attractive. You see the add-ons on the operating margins on these big ones. It creates a margin positive revenue stream for retail. And this is important because retail media doesn't need to be the biggest revenue line to become a very important profit line. And if you want to talk to the CEO and the management, that's the reason why you should work with retail media. Because you will bring money, you will bring high margin money into the business. And if they don't understand the strategic value of this, the investment needed, and the organizational changes that's necessary, then it's when often becomes this side project. And this about being a media business is the big shift. And it's a real shift. Because retail thinking and media thinking is not the same. So retail thinking is very often around categories, prices, promotions, stores, availability, sales. And then we see this transformation into media businesses. The media thinking is built around audiences, inventory, reach, frequency, optimization, delivery, measurement. And it's not the same. And many retailers, they really struggle here today because they're trying to run retail media with the retail thinking. And it won't work. That's the harsh truth. So there was a lot of the advertisers working with retail media today. Let's see where on this scale you are, because now we're going to look at the brand side of retail media. So what we experience is that brand maturity, they are not on the same maturity level. So some, the confused one, they are just getting started. They are still trying to understand what retail media is and why they should shift their budgets into retail media. Then we see the ones in the middle, they are scaling. So they have invested, but they still want to have clearer packages, measurement planning. They want to optimize it. Then we have the strategic, we have the advanced ones. They see retail media as part of the full funnel media mix. And they want audience strategy, they want incrementality, they want optimization, they want closed loop reporting. They are advanced. And this matters not because I want to show how good or bad a brand is. I show it because retail media is not about impressing someone, it's about meeting them where they are. And that's also why I encourage you to talk to each other afterwards, because that is how we learn and how we can collaborate together. So for retailers, that means that you need to package what you have in a way that for advertisers is easy to buy. And for advertisers, on the other hand, they need to be very clear on what they want retail media to do. Is it awareness? Is it conversion? Is it product launch support? Is it because they want to drive category growth? The better we define the job from the beginning, the better retail media will perform. And one of very important thing that we have experienced that if you are a retailer and you work a lot with these brands, they expect you to have a retail media solution for them. Because they are so used at buying online, they are often US based, and they are very used to buy online retail media due to Amazon, Walmart, Target, and so on. And we have one client, Matas, one of the biggest beauty retailers in the Nordics, where they are in the forefront of retail media now. And they have this media organization structure. But when they started, it was basically because they had advertisers who said like, hey, we have so much money to spend in your stores, but you need to have this. And they had a CEO who understood it. But we will talk about Matas later in this presentation because it's very interesting. Retail media creates a new game. It's new journeys, new mindsets, new capabilities, new relationships. And for advertisers, it's about moving from campaign execution to media operations. For advertisers, it's about not only buying reach or impressions, but also buying context and outcomes. And retail media is about changing how the business works and how we collaborate with each other. For all retailers, before we can start selling retail media externally, we need to ask our organization a couple of questions. And that is, who owns the inventory? Who owns the customer experience? Who approves the content that is shown? Who sells it? Who handles the relationships with the advertisers? And one important, who protects the customer? And these questions, they need answers. The biggest barrier in retail media isn't technology, it is internal alignment. And management very often they don't really understand the full value. We see that teams are very often siloed. So you have trade marketing, e-commerce, CRM, IT, and they all see retail media from different perspectives. Everyone has a piece of the puzzle, but no one owns the full picture. And that's why internal alignment is so important. So, what are we building? Why are we building it? Who are we building it for? And what's the value? What's the value for the retailer, for the advertiser, and the customer? Because the most valuable asset the retailer has is not the screens, it's still the customers. And retail media must monetize attention without damaging their trust. Because otherwise you will have a brand problem. What does good look like? Okay, it looks like this. So you need to make it easy to understand. Start where you are. Don't try to impress people, don't try to overdo it. Start where you are. Make it easy to buy. Retail media needs inventory, pricing, packaging. And if you are a smaller retailer, you can jump onto these larger retail media networks and get the synergy effects. Use a common language, because since there are so many different units from the organization in this project, you need to have a common language, because otherwise every meeting just will become translation. Measurement. You don't have to have perfect measurement from day one, but you need to have a plan. You need to have a roadmap. You need to have a direction on it. Collaboration. Retail media cannot be solved by one department alone. And this is important now, because make sure that you own the channel. There will be companies coming to you saying, hey, we can take the investment costs, because they want your data, they want your assets. But don't. There's a reason why they are willing to take the investment cost, because that's such a big opportunity. It's very short-sighted to give it away. So just don't. Okay, Andreas, now it's time to change the voice. I've been talking a lot, so your turn. The clicker.
Thank you so much. So we're going to talk about traffic. And traffic is super important. And I think since many people here are working from a media perspective and from the brand perspective, we know that traffic is the most important KPI. Because without traffic, without eyeballs, you don't have anybody actually seeing your campaigns. But traffic alone is not enough. You need to package the traffic. You need to know about your customer flow. You need to have the right tech. You need to understand exactly where to influence your customer in that exact timing. Because when you're doing that, you get a real media value. You get the real media value where you actually get the premium price, the premium CPM, which enables you to get sustainable, high margin revenue over time. So if package your traffic with these things, then you're not going to have a trade marketing business anymore. You will have a trade marketing business on fucking steroids. That's retail media, my friends. So, Monica were talking before regarding Matas, and I don't know how many of you here know what Matas is. Matas is one of the biggest, or the biggest actually, beauty retailer in Scandinavia or in the Nordics. And I think this is quite interesting because Matas, they were looking at it from a mature perspective because they had working with trade marketing for many years, as for many retailers been working with trade marketing for decades. So did Matas, and they were to see, okay, how can we become this media powerhouse? So they're listening to all the big tech giants, you know, Amazon having like approximately $60 billion in revenue. They're looking at all the terminology when it comes to on-site, off-site, where you should have the data, programmatic, IO bidding, etc., etc., etc. And they were like, we need to align. We need to do our homework first. So we helped them start at what are you actually having today? So, and they had the strong experience from working with trade marketing. They had their loyalty program. They have high numbers of frequency and guests in their stores. So instead of building this media powerhouse overnight, we helped them structure what they already did. And by structuring it, you can make it better. And they take step by step. And this is another example under Matas. It's the retailer brand Kicks, which is also in the Matas group. And here is the example how we actually know the floor plans and we know the customer flow and we can influence where it's real attention. Because as we said before and Monica been talking about, is that where it's real attention and where you actually can influence people, then you will get effect of your branding campaigns, both from a trade marketing perspective, but you'll also attract new incremental revenue from media spending without cannibalizing from your trade business. So that is important.
So Andreas, what you're actually saying then, I guess, is that data and measurement means money. Yeah, and we all love money, especially when we work in business, right? So, but data, and you probably have a lot of data as a retailer, but if you don't have enough data to gather this package of measurement, how do you measure it? Is there any way how we can help our clients to measure and get the right data?
Yes, and that's a really good question. And of course, and I think since it's many brands here, so you probably know that with all currency out there in media, there is a big variation. So you have assumption. But what we're doing now is that we're actually collaborating with different sensor technologies where we actually can have the same commercial principle that we have from digital media. So we actually can get to reach the exact amount of audience that you want, and you can know how many eyeballs is actually watching at your particular spot within the entire channel. And that also brings true attention.
So if you can you I mean bit clarify this. So if you get what value do that bring for the retailer and what value do that give for the advertiser using like technologies like sensors? I mean it can be triggering, it can be measure how many traffic flow it is and the eyeballs. What real value does that give?
So, as I said before, since you go from guesstimation to actual validated data, then you can also get the premium CPM level on each contact. And you know, from all types of media, and especially if you look at out of home, then we have a discrepancy between what you actually guesstimate and what you deliver. And it means also that you have a quite high discount on the inventory. So when you actually can validate what you deliver, then you can keep a premium CPM, but also a higher net revenue.
Okay, so if you go to some kind of example here, if I just get it right. Here's a retailer called Stadium. I'll let you describe what Stadium is, but what have they done recently and why did they do it?
So Stadium is one of the largest sports retailer in the Nordics, and they operate across the Nordics and having like 600 different suppliers within their stores. And they have a quite a mature trade marketing business, but they wanted to implement retail media to get this media principle and get a premium on it. So they implemented actually as a pilot, they implemented the sensor technology where we actually found out new zones, new commercial zones without the stores. So for example, here we see a window display where we have great attention. And we can also bring new incremental revenue for those type of surfaces, but also get new people into the stores by using relevant creatives and call to actions to actually go into the stores. And as you know, as a retailer, that's a super important KPI.
All right, and then it's always like this investment cost. That's an obstacle for the retailers to, I mean, take a decision, and someone need to sell it internally and up to the board of directors probably, because, I mean, it's not only about screens. You need software, you need other technology, you need the sensor technology. Everything drives a lot of investment. So, do you know? I mean, was it any kind of what was the tipping point for them to take this investment themselves and not give it away?
That's a super relevant question, and I can actually say for this, and it was not only one screen, of course, but for this new zone, the window display, that they, from the beginning in the pilot phase, had 50 of those. They actually have a return on investment within the first month by adding incremental revenue from external advertisers. So that was a really good way for the management to actually prove to do a big rollout.
You mentioned advertisers, so then I'm interested. Can you mention an example of advertisers that have been doing campaigns within this retail media in-store network?
Yes. Of course, but before doing that, I think it's quite interesting because, as I said from the beginning, they had a mature business from trade marketing, and for all retailers, that is an important business still. But what happened when they actually could measure and give back some important findings and data to their suppliers, they actually more than double their trade investment within 6 months. But to answer your questions, they also had the first non-endemic campaign, and non-endemic being a brand that you can buy in the Stadium stores. So they actually had a big fitness chain who wanted to reach their particular audience. So they paid a premium to be able to reach their audience, and they had a huge success. They could see that, so they actually prolonged the campaign for another, I think it was 2 weeks, and paid a premium for that, but they also get new members to their clubs.
Okay, now we have been talking about retailers, we are talking about measurement, so, but we can also talk about advertisers. So, just again trying to, yeah. So we can take, for example, Coca-Cola Company. Probably everybody knows about them. And by the way, Visual Art, we also have a design studio, including film studio, do a lot of production for our clients. So this is just nothing to talk about today, but when we're looking at this, I'm pretty proud of showing off as well our content productions. Anyway, Coca-Cola Company, I know that they have run some campaigns within our nationwide retail media networks. Can you give us tell us the journey or the road for Coca-Cola from taking a decision to roll it out, making it campaigns, and get it like reporting back?
Yes, and I think this is one important lesson as well. And we operating globally and quite big operation here in DACH and Germany, as we said. But from our retail media network perspective, we are super strong. We have the biggest network in the Nordics. So for a brand like Coca-Cola or L'Oreal or the big, media buyers, they want to buy reach. But as we talked about before, not just any reach. They want to buy relevant reach. So they want to pack that with data. So for a brand like a Coca-Cola, to be able to attract these massive media agency budgets, if we could take some of those budgets from out of home or other reach medias, we need to work together. So then we can actually add different food retailers or convenience stores, gas stations, combining that into one big ecosystem, which means that we actually get a part of the big, massive budgets.
Okay, so we have a campaign going across several different kind of retailers. Can you explain a little bit about that and who's in it?
Yes, so the easiest part, as I said, we have food retailers, we have convenience, and convenience being gas station as well, because obviously you want to go into convenience. I went for a summit in Copenhagen last week, and I heard Reitan, 7-Eleven, they know that 64% of their visitors haven't made up their mind before visiting a store. So imagine how you can influence at the point of purchase. And that's exactly what Coca-Cola wants. But as I said before, they want to get more relevant audience. But for Coca-Cola, it's quite interesting because they don't only want the highest return of advertised spent. Of course, they want that. But they also want to get the feedback back from the retailers. They want to know and see, okay, if the sun is shining right here, what type of product should we push then? What happens if it's this location or whatever it might be? So they want the feedback, not only get the highest return on ad spend.
Okay, thank you. I mean, now we're talking about some retailers, advertisers, measurement, and visual art. It's kind of an ecosystem, and there's also a lot of tech involved. We're not going to make a deep dive into the tech today. Sorry, trying to change picture. No. Maybe here. Yeah. Okay. So it is like an ecosystem. It's a lot of components that need to be in place to make this work. Of course, it's a lot of tech. It's something where we come from, and you have the advertisers and retailers. But can you a little bit, I mean, on a really high level, explain these different components and how they need to work together and what we are doing right in the middle?
And I think, and excuse this illustration, but it's painting a picture, I hope. But as we talked about from the beginning, you need to be agnostic. Visual art, we are agnostic. And I think, using the right tech, using the right retailers, and not working as silos. We need to come together and work together. Because I said before, together we are small. If we can combine our most important asset, our data, our customers, then we can get the network effect by using to others, extending the customer journey and getting a part or reach these really big media budget from the media agencies. So that's why we're putting together with relevant information under a retail media hub where we have like the whitelist, blacklist, and all the, you know, brand safety, etc., 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 and acting as a, now it's terminology here again, but as an ad server, making sure that we have the right ability, and then we can then push either if it's IO, meaning, you know, schedule campaigns, or if it's programmatic buying. We can get that to the media agencies, not cannibalizing from the trade marketing, because trade marketing is still a lot of internal political things, because it's, you know, using that when, how should we place the products in the store, etc., etc. So we want the incremental media revenue from the media agencies and from the media department. So that's why we're building this type of setup.
Okay, and then I mean, you're talking about programmatic and ad servers, media sales, basically, and media sales can be, I mean, a lot of different things. So it doesn't really, I mean, it can be a media sales company, it can be media agencies, it can be programmatic, or you can have your in-house sales team, whatever. But here's just because we have been talking about retailers, advertisers, measurement data, but somewhere the sales needs to be connected as well and packaged. And hopefully it should also be packaged in a full retail media network scope, including offsite, onsite, in-store. So in the Nordics, as an example, we work with the Bonnier News. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that cooperation looked like?
Yeah, sure. And I think for you working here in Germany in the DACH region, bear with me, because I think we can use this setup to make it relevant even here. But as Pontus was saying, so Bonnier, they're the biggest media house in the Nordics. They have 150 media sales people, have a revenue of 1.1 billion euros. So they're quite big from a Nordic perspective. And they already has the contact with all the brands, since they have 170 products themselves, the offsite. So they have all the beauty magazines, they have all the health and fitness, they have all the political and stuff like that. So what our retailers, from an in-store experience perspective, they want to get the new audience we talked about before, and be able then to be in a fitness context, and you can have a call to action with a protein bar, when I training, and you can go to a 7-Eleven and actually buy that. So that's getting the whole closed advertising loop that Monica talked about before, and be able also to get the new clients in. But more important, I think more concrete, is that we can get revenue instantly, since they are up to speed talking to all the big brands on a daily basis. So I think once again, working together is not strong. I don't think ever, but in this context, definitely not. So it's important to work with the right technology, being able to connect one another, having the right tech, and then use your inventory to work together with others, because then we can attract huge amount of media budgets.
Okay, thank you. So let's try to be a bit concrete. So what we should do, we basically help our clients, retailers, move from classic digital signage or just screens in the store to building retail media networks and media channels. And it all starts with some kind of strategy concept. It can be such basic things of where should these screens be in the store, and what purpose, what should they communicate, and why. And then it's all about making the inventory and packaging it. What value does these channel have? Just this specific display in a food retailer amongst fruits and vegetables. What should you be selling there, and why, and what value does that have, and what is the traffic? And that is what we help our clients with. But we also are really, really eager to protect and enhance the store experience. It should not be seen as only like an ad channel. It is a combination of building customer experience in the store and also for retail media advertising. And we also make sure that everything works and the operation, managed services. If you don't have the organization yourself, we can help you building that. I will just skip this art. So, and at last, the most important thing I would say is that it includes the network thinking. You need to think in a wider scale. If you're a small retailer, you cannot do it yourself. You need to be a part of a bigger retail media network, including on-site, off-site, in-store. Otherwise, it will be just a silo. And the big advertisers, they will not spend any money into a single store project or single retail networks, because they want to buy reach targeted groups and I get proof back in reporting on campaigns. So, Monica, do you want to make the summary of everything we've said and just wrap this up?
Yes. So I will try to summarize this in a way that I hope is easy to take back to your organization. So retail media has moved from hype to execution. It's becoming a new business model. It's a high margin opportunity, and where advertisers can reach customers close to purchase decisions. Don't start with the screens. Start with the margin. Internal alignment is key. Don't make it a side project. Unlock budgets with proofs. This is key. Networks mean scale. And don't give your most valuable asset away. And now, if you want to connect with us, this is our LinkedIn accounts. You will also, if you scan this one, you will also get the full presentation, and there's also some other documents that can be valuable. And if you want to have the speaker notes, you can DM me on LinkedIn, and I will send them to you. And otherwise, I really hope that you talk to each other afterwards. And if you have any questions to us, we have some time, so please come to us. And otherwise, we'll just say thank you for listening to us. And yeah, it's password protected, so it's V and an A, but that is super small. But V and A.